they realized what kind of salaries people were on over there, and even the musicians. Like, one of my dear friends, who's, I believe, probably in one of the greatest steel guitar players in the world and dobro players, who's made good money doing different things. He was playing with two, and I won't mention who he is or the bands, but let's call it very famous bands he played with.
Yep.
He was only making $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to guys here, and they think, oh, God, I met blah, blah, blah. Oh, they must be making so much money. Well, they got no idea they're making no money. Some of them might be making $350 a night on tour, and they're traveling in a bus 90% of the time. As you know, they're sleeping on the bus. There's no more accommodations like it used to be in motels and stuff. The main artist sometimes flies in, doesn't even get to be on the bus, and they're on a sweaty bus driving around the South, Well,
so back in those days when it was all kind of, everything was, there's cash going everywhere. People forget the fact that all those things were billed to the bands, and all those bands are now in debt or never actually got out of debt because they owed so much money.
Well, that's right. And talking about Dolly, for instance, Danny jumped on the Dolly train because she was spending more than she was making on tour. I mean, he met her, and this is what he told me. I don't know how true it is, but he met her, and she was worth about $400 million. She's a billionairess now. And she was touring and losing money touring. She's like, how can I be losing money? And he actually was an accountant, and he went on and showed her how she was losing money. So, I mean, it's really those elaborate kind of touring, those days are gone. Yeah. Those days are gone. People are trying to make money. The fact that streaming has taken, major income away from us, that's the only way they're making money is merchandise and touring,
Yeah, well, that was the big thing. I mean, one thing I've tried to be as vocal as I can as I'm getting online and talking to people is the fact that, obviously COVID's been disastrous for the industry, but it happened before then as well. In the old days, we could sell CDs, you could have a product to sell, you could do your show, you could sell your merch, everything else. But suddenly CD sales were gone, and streaming's only got some value to those artists who can stream millions of tracks. For your average local artist, I wouldn't make enough money to buy a cup of coffee a year out of streaming.
No, well, a guy said to me today in a meeting, he said, oh, look, if I do blah, 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 I'm going to make rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, no, you're not. From a publishing standpoint, I'll tell you exactly what you're going to make.
I've got 7 albums out, maybe 100 songs streaming or whatever. And say, mate, if I made $20 a year out of it, that would be.
Well, I can tell you, we have a title that's done over 1 million streams, and it's a co-write. And I think from one song, we've made $750.
Yeah.
And that's hit over 1 million streams. So
there's got to be something along the way we can put pressure on political bodies to.
I think. Well, I've been told.
I want to ask you something here about Nashville and the second structure there. I'll just explain here first. One of the things that's annoyed me with this whole COVID thing is that the industry's been squashed. Not only did we lose streaming, but we then lost our only form of income, which was live music. And so everyone was screwed. And how that's going to come out, we don't know, the whole thing of it. But people are still loving music. They're still listening to music. Music's an important part of our life. Now, I think now's the time to reset the industry a bit. And it's not about politicians or political parties putting money into arts councils to fund a project or this project. We need to get some structure around the gig economy so that musicians, mate, I'm probably the world's worst person for looking at a bank statement. I literally go into a panic attack. I'm not good at that side of things. And a lot of musos are kind of like that. We need to be free to do our creative thing, but the business thing doesn't always work well. I'd love to see a structure put in place whereby, say when you do a gig, money can be paid to an entity where you get paid through that entity, your tax gets taken out, super gets taken out. And we've actually prepared the grassroots industry for situations like we've just had where when we hit a bump in the road, we don't all fall like a house of cards. We have nothing like that here. We used to have the musicians union back in the 80s and 70s.
Well, it still operates like that in America.
Well, that's what I'd like to know, mate. What is their system they have there that we could maybe be looking at?
Well, it's very different. Again, there's layers of it there. And I'll start from one end so you understand. So if you were, Lee Bryce or someone, that's a solo artist or whoever you want to name, you would have first a business manager. And then you would have a manager. So your manager actually never touches your money. So your money first goes to the business manager. He takes his share. He divvies it up how it's supposed to be. You get paid from your business manager for your live work. Yeah, that your manager, whether he's booked it through the booking agents or however he's done it, then he gets his share from the business manager. And then if, let's say, for instance, you're, Keith Urban, and you also were lucky enough and you did a bunch of sessions, for instance, if you're a singer, the union is called AFTRA. And so if I had an AFTRA singer sing on a record, I would write 2 checks. I'd write one to them for their, for their pension and their pension fund and their health fund. And then I would write 1 check to the singer. If we were doing a session with 5 or 6 musicians, whether I was the band leader or he has another band leader, we will all be union members, and the band leader would get paid as a band leader, pending what the session was, whether it was what they call a demo session, a limited pressing session, a master scale session, whatever it was. Then different levels of payment would come. Then it would go to the union, and the union would then do the same, take the pension check out, take the money out. And so you would pay, let's say it was $250 for that guitar player. Well, it might be $275 and $25 goes into your health fund, and then the rest goes to the player.
And is that system still holding up in the day and age where it's more artists trying to fund themselves?
Yep. Yeah. It's still visible today.
Right.